Hi, everybody. It's Mimi Tallow from Be Heard, Empower Yourself. And today we have someone from across the pond, as they like to say. Hello, Janice. Is it pronounced
Hello.
Janice?
Yeah, it is. Hello, Mimi. Lovely to meet you.
Yes, I hope this all goes as planned. Um, but there's a tech war going on between Zoom and Zoom Workplace that I hope I could get out of that warp soon because they keep wanting to take over my podcast. But that's for another episode. In this episode, we're joined by Janis King, and Janis is a tarot. Tell me how to pronounce that. Tarot without the
Tarot.
T.
Yeah, tarot.
I thought so. Tarot reader, teacher, and author. And you explore how tarot can be used as a practical tool for insight, healing, and self-trust. And from your origin story and energetic approach to the creation of the Life Code Tarot deck, okay, and your latest book, these are questions we are going to talk about. Um, but it sparks a engaging conversation that serves both the curious newcomers and seasoned readers. So I'm a newcomer.
Okay.
So, would you like to tell us anything about yourself before I dive in?
Um, no, not really. I mean, I've been using tarot for over 20 years now. Um, and I find it endlessly fascinating.
I bet.
And also, so we use it as a conversation between us and the energetic world.
Yeah,
And
okay,
we use it to look below the surface at what we can't personally see.
got it. Well, I absolutely am very open to things like the Akashic records and spiritual guides and maybe living more than one life. Star seeds that yes, there is other life and there is other planets. So I am very open-minded. Okay. Um, my fourth book was called Anatomy of an Alien because if you know anything about star seeds, and we're not going to get into that because that's an hour there. Uh, some people believe that people walking the earth aren't just people, that they have this starseed component that was sent to us from another loving planet that wanted us to stop killing ourselves, which I think is wonderful. So I am very open-minded, like I said. And I was told I'm on my sixth life. And the reason I believe the woman is she told me my first life was in 200 AD and I was a female gladiator. That's all she had to say. Because my personality, I would be a female gladiator.
Okay.
So I really am into that other world type stuff. Okay. So what was your first encounter with tarot?
Well, I encountered cards as a divination tool when I was really young, growing up. My aunt used to read playing cards, and she used to read them in a very sort of old school psychic way,
Yeah.
mostly at parties, mostly when she'd had a few to drink,
Oh, yeah.
and so it was all a bit uncontrolled and crazy. And so I was sort of very familiar with that. You know, we would hold Ouija board sessions just for fun as a
Oh, I did
family.
that Ouija board.
Yeah, it was always
That's
just,
cute.
you know, so
Mhm.
we were very familiar with it. My own personal um I had a tarot, a very light tarot reading as a sort of, I guess you guys would call it a county fair,
Mhm.
where I got told some stuff which was very much about fortune telling. What brought me to tarot was not that, though. What brought me to tarot was a reading that I was sent to by my guides, as in answer to a call that I had been putting out, um, because I had conducted this grand energetic experiment, which had played out in a certain way, and I wanted explanations. And I did a specific meditation. I couldn't get to speak to my guides at all. I didn't even know if I even had them. Maybe I was one of those people that didn't.
I have
Uh,
6, so I'm right on the same page.
yeah, yeah,
And I didn't
and
know for a long time.
yeah, yeah. But I continued doing the meditations
Mm-hmm.
and trying, and I got a meditation where I had a young boy show up in this specific meditation who ran out of some woods and sat beside me on a bench. He was probably about 8, maybe between 6 and 8. I saw his clothes really clearly. I would recognize him if I saw him again. And his eyes were closed shut. So I presume he was blind, but it wasn't really an issue. And he handed me a white stone egg. I asked him if he was a guide, and he shook his head, handed me this white stone egg, and I looked at it, and there was a white sleeping bird carved into the egg. And I said, "Oh, it's a white dove." And he just nodded his head really vigorously and then ran away,
Hmm.
leaving me in complete mystery again. And then I don't know exactly how long it was, maybe a few weeks later, I was in Camden Market in London, thinking, well, I still don't have any answers. And I was going, it was the beginning of a 3-year dark night of the soul. And
Mhm.
I saw this shop, and it had tarot readings in huge letters in the window in Camden Market. And I thought, well, you know what? I haven't had any answers anywhere else. Why don't I just try this? So I walked in, and there were 2 men in the shop. There was one in a room out back that I could just see, who had this long white hair, long white robes, like a kind of hippie Jesus guy. And then there was a guy at the front desk, and I walked in and said, I'd like to talk to someone about a tarot reading, please. And he said, oh, yes, you'll need to speak to White Dove.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I said, well, I think I'll probably do then.
Yes.
And it was that reading with White Dove that basically um, not only explained what was going on, but also told me that I was being moved to a new path, which, by the way, I flatly refused. I said, I refuse this. You can take it all back. Tell them I changed my mind. I'm not having any of this. This is a big,
Yeah.
big mistake.
Yeah.
Make it stop. And he
Yeah.
said, yeah, that ship has somewhat sailed.
What's gonna happen? Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you've got 3 really, really difficult years ahead of you.
Nice.
And but there'll be he called them angels along the path. He said both human and energetic, and
Yeah.
they'll get you through.
Yes.
They'll get you through to the other side, and you'll
Mm-hmm.
find your way to this new path. And I said, well, I don't want a new path. I refuse. I refuse this new path. He said,
Rebel you. I get it. But
use all you like,
so
love.
how did that change your life? Did you um after that reading, like did some of that stuff start happening?
Oh, I mean, everything went mental. I mean, everything was mental anyway. To be honest with you, everything was crazy anyway. But
Yeah.
yeah, it took on
Started. Yeah.
a whole new life of its
Wow.
own. Yeah,
Wow.
and I mean, that 3-year process is a book all on its own, because
Yeah.
there were some quite, I mean, I would say bordering on miraculous occurrences,
Uh-huh.
which are so exquisitely on the money and perfect that you can't just badge them up to coincidence.
Yeah.
It was too much to be
Yeah.
coincidence.
Yeah, I get
Um,
that. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I get that.
So
Go ahead.
so yeah, I mean, and obviously after that happened, um, he told me I should go get Reiki attuned, because that would help. So I did go get Reiki attuned, and that did help. And in fact, my Reiki master, I'm also still in contact with now, all these years later. And the whole thing was a journey that was like no other. But obviously, I was really fascinated by what had happened with the reading and the reading itself. and the
Mm.
fact that this information had come back through these cards. So, of course, that being the point of the entire thing,
Yeah.
um, I then went off and had a look at, tarot. I went into a shop in London and said, what do I need to know? And the woman in the shop, it was actually Treadwell's, said to me at the time, because Treadwell's is a very old esoteric shop in London, old, almost like a
Mhm.
little Hogwartsy bookshop.
Yeah.
And she said, well, I don't read tarot. They don't speak to me. They don't speak to everyone. They don't speak to me.
Oh, okay.
You would have to see if they speak to you.
I
And
see.
boy, did they.
Wow,
It, it
that really it's fascinating to me because I was Catholic most of my life, so none of this was all taboo, all of these New Age thinkings and spiritual things that a lot of us are exploring today. And so I really wasn't touched or drawn to any of it until maybe 20 years ago, and I was over 50. And there is so much, Janice. There's so much. And when I hear people talk about any of those things, like you were saying, like Reiki and spirit guides and Akashic records and tarot, and there are so many disciplines, I'll call them disciplines, and philosophies. It's like I feel like I'm in kindergarten. And I don't know. I'm thinking to myself, well, if I was going to just get a college degree, metaphorically, which one would I pick? Like, how would I go? But that is why I'm wondering, like, you settled with tarot. So you weren't drawn, you knew about other things, but you weren't drawn to those other things I mentioned.
No, because I wanted something that made proper logical sense. And I know that sounds really odd.
No,
People go,
to
how
me,
can tarot make proper logical sense? But it does. Once you start using it, it does make sense. It is a fixed system. It is a system that is very exact,
yeah,
and it requires you to use it properly. And even when I was very skeptical about everything.
okay,
I've
yeah,
been using energy and doing a bit of ceremony and seeing. So let me just tell you the backstory of how I got into that.
that's fine. Yeah,
Because I've been told from an early age I should go into development, and I refused to do that too. I don't want to,
very rebellious.
I kind of, yeah, as
You
a
use the
bit
word refuse a lot.
little bit of a spicy customer as far as the
Oh, I
recruitment
get that.
team up there was concerned.
Yeah,
I was a
get it.
difficult hire for sure.
You get it.
So my mum, when her mother died, when my grandmother died, my mum went to a spiritualist church and asked me if I'd go. And I said I would. I wasn't like anti it or anything. I said,
Yeah.
sure, I'll go. I was about 20, I suppose, at the time. And they were doing a psychometry experiment in there, where you take an object of somebody's and then you just say what what you see.
Oh my
And,
God.
and my
We just
mother
did this similar.
volunteered
Yeah.
me. My
Uh-huh.
mother volunteered, said, "Oh, she's good at this stuff." And I was going, "What? What? No, I'm just here to leave me alone." No, she'll take. So I took this woman's ring, and then they just said, "Well, just doesn't matter. Just say what you see." So I said what I saw. I had no idea whether it was right or wrong or
Exactly.
not. And then everybody got awfully excited and kind of started rushing around saying, "Oh, you should go into development." And I just went, dead people, ew,
And
no, not.
I'm gonna just say, I think no matter which one you're drawn towards to, I think you're drawn towards what your gift is and what you're supposed to do. And when you said like spiritual church, I belong to Unity of the Palm Beaches, which we call ourselves a spiritual community.
Mm,
And every year we do a white stone ceremony, which sounds very similar to what you said. And we hold that stone in meditation. And whatever word comes into our mind, no matter how silly or doesn't seem to mean anything, that you write on your stone for the year. And I've been doing that for 20 years. And funny story, the one year I wrote down patience. And I had the worst year of my life because the spirits that be kept sending me situations where I needed patience. Think about it. How are you going to get patience unless you get the situations? So, and again, one last thing. One year, a woman's name came up, and I didn't know anybody by that name. Okay. I don't even remember now. I have the stone somewhere, but let's say her name is Janet. And I don't know anybody named Janet, but I wrote it on the rock like I was supposed to. And later that year, I had surgery, and it was a very major surgery. And when I was going in, one of the nurses said, "Don't worry, my name is Janet, and I am going to be with you all through this." I get the chills repeating that story.
Yeah, that's
So
lovely.
that kind of stuff in my church. So the one uh, time they were talking about the star seeds, which is, I'm not getting into it, but they said, "We think you are a star seed." So I researched it and I wrote a book, Anatomy of an Alien, because I have the most unusual medical history you'll ever see in your life.
Mm,
I have never been to a doctor where he has not said, "You have this, but I've never seen one like that." Or it's a little different. That's unusual. That doesn't
yeah.
happen. So when I would leave the doctor's office, I would turn to my husband and say, "I'm an alien."
Mm,
So thus the title, Anatomy of an Alien. And
yeah.
it's a medical paranormal mystery because at the end of the book, and it talks about all the medical stuff, but at the end of the book, you find out if I'm just an ordinary human or am I a starseed. And so
Yeah.
there's so many disciplines, like I said, but you have to
Yeah.
find the one that pulls you, that's
Yeah.
yours. And I
Yeah.
do in researching, and I'll shut up about star seeds, but in researching star seeds, and there's different types and personalities, and they get different kinds of medical problems on Earth. And I was an alcoholic for 20 years and find out that the one I'm supposed to be can't drink. And
Right.
they are supposed to be helpful and try and help humanity one person at a time, or something like my podcast. Okay. So there is a very strong pull in me to believe that that's my gift. And I'm sure you feel the same way about the tarot.
Well, I think the tarot just adds a dimension to my life, which allows me to make sense um, of not only what's happening, but but the way forward. And because tarot isn't just a divination thing, tarot is a map, tarot is a philosophy. And
Mhm.
its philosophy is, I mean, it's kind of like a Bible. So a lot of us refer to it as a book. So it's a book
Mhm.
of wisdom, it's a book of knowledge, and it's an instruction manual. So that instruction manual is there to guide us through not only challenges, but also to tell us how to make our life happy, sustainable, and abundant. So it's an instruction manual for life, and it talks about energy. It talks
Mhm.
about how we use energy,
Yep.
and it talks about how we can plot our life to create happiness and connection, which is the foundation of everything.
Yes.
And then how we master our will, how we use our mind through periods of challenge,
Oh.
and then
Mm.
then the five key experiences we need in order to create this successful long-term life strategy that is going to make us and the people around us
Mhm.
happy.
I have a
And
question. I have a question.
yeah, and the point of it is not to be spiritual.
Okay.
The point of it is to be a successful human.
Gotcha.
And,
Same thing with the
uh,
star seeds, but I
yeah,
do
yeah.
need to ask you this question
Yeah. So
for
it's
me to get
important that
into
keep
how
our,
I'm again.
boots on the ground, as it were.
Yeah. So let me ask you. So you're doing a reading, all right? Um, and how do you know if it's a structured interpretation of what you're looking at or your own intuition?
Well, that's it. I mean, I read very much from the perspective of the cards lay the foundation.
Okay, so
So,
that's the
so
answer.
yeah, so I let the
Okay.
cards lead the way. So I'll give you an
Okay.
example. So I did a reading for a girl. Um, she booked a reading. She wanted to know when she was going to meet her soulmate and when her business was going to be successful. So first of
Mhm.
all, she's asked two closed questions. So we don't ask closed questions in tarot. We open them up. So what does she need to know about meeting her life partner? We're not going to use the word soulmate because
Mhm.
soulmates aren't necessarily romantic and they don't necessarily make you happy.
And I had a
And
soulmate that did make me miserable. And I still believe
and
he was my soulmate, but pass.
yeah, they are there
Yeah,
to help us in life to overcome or to experience whatever it is we want to.
what we need.
And also with her business, what she needed to know to make her business successful. So we did the first part of the reading, and the second part of the reading was about the business. And so real quick, we had a look at this, and the first thing I took was put these cards on the table. We've got the Four of Pentacles, we've got the Queen of Swords, and we've got the Knight of Swords. So what that tells me is she's playing it very safe. She's very risk adverse.
Hmm.
She is being very strategic, but there's no passion in the energy. So I
Hmm.
asked, what is her why? Because she's doing this business because she feels she has to. I know she has a career that she doesn't like, so she's trying to build this business up. So I asked, what is the goal here? And I've got the Seven of Cups, which is floaty, not rooted in reality.
Hmm.
So at this point, I take all this back to the client and I ask the client, okay, this is what I've got about this business. You've got no passion for this business. You're doing it because you think you need to. You're
Hmm.
not really groundedly connected to your destination. It's all floating up there as whatever. And basically, what we've not got is we've not got enough fuel for you to really stay the course with this business. We just don't have it. You're pushing yourself to do it. There's no real, I love this.
Yeah,
There's no love here at all. There's no
yeah.
love. There's no passion. There's no vision really.
Hmm.
So she said, well, okay, that's fair. And she said, so the situation is, I hate my job. My mother is living with us. I've got three kids, and I need a bigger house. And so I've done this business because I think this will get me to a bigger house. But I honestly say it wasn't my dream. This business is not my dream thing to
Right.
do. But
Hmm.
maybe it will get me the house. So it won't. It won't get you the house because basically you've
Yeah, to
got
be successful.
you won't make it through.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
don't like it really any
Not
more
gonna
than
make.
you like your job,
Hmm.
right? So then I asked, okay, so let's take some guidance for her. What should we do? What action should she take? So we've got the lovers. So the lovers is choose what you love. And I said, okay, well, that's really interesting. So I said to her, so, oh, and also the Six of Cups, which is do what you did before. So, okay, choose what you love and do what you did before. So I said, well, what did you do before your current job that you don't like? She said, oh, I
Hmm.
retrained to do this job. I was a teacher. I said, oh, that's interesting. So, yeah, I think I'm getting the order of it right. Anyway,
So, okay.
she said, I don't want to teach because I taught English as a foreign language. There wasn't enough money in it.
Hmm.
I don't want to go back and do that. She said,
Right.
but I did love, because I said, what have you done that you've loved? And she said, I loved writing my book. I wrote a book on women who have contributed stuff but have been forgotten. I loved that. I absolutely loved it. I said,
Hmm.
okay, there's something here. She
Hmm.
said, but I didn't carry on because I needed the money. I couldn't do the marketing. It was just, but I still loved it. It
Hmm.
lit me up. So I said, right, we need to be guided by that. So then I took down a couple of more cards, and as I was taking the cards, I heard the word higher. Okay, higher. So I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, well, she taught, she did the women, so how can we make this higher? Do what you did before. What she also did before was retrain. She retrained. So interestingly enough, I thought, okay, let's just link all those together and say, what if you taught but retrained at a higher level and did women's studies. What if you were to teach at university? And she went, oh, that's amazing because my ex-husband is a university lecturer and I've just finished a postgrad qualification for this job that I have now.
Hmm.
So I said, so you are really qualified then. And actually, it wouldn't be too much of a hop and a skip for you to actually become qualified to teach at uni.
Well,
How does teaching women's studies at uni and writing books alongside that for which you can then publish, how does that sound? And she said, that sounds amazing.
wow.
So, so you see, what you do is you allow the cards to lead the way, and then you're open to what additional information needs to come in on top,
Yeah.
which lets you take the reading to the next level. That's how
Mhm.
I do it.
I see. I see. Very interesting. A lot of what I did want to ask you too is what you said about a book. You wrote a book on tarot?
Yeah,
Did you?
yeah. I've actually written three books.
Oh,
But my latest book, which is called Tarot, the Life Code, A Fool, a Magician, and the Secret of Life, and that came out in November.
wow.
So
Sounds
yeah,
like a Harry Potter book.
well, kinda. I mean, we have in tarot, we have the magician. So the idea is
Yeah.
we are the magician in our lives and we are working with energy, and it is our job to bring to life the potentials that we want to bring to life to make our life happy, abundant, and fulfilled.
Right. And getting back to reading the tarot cards themselves. Um, so each symbol supposedly has a meaning to it. And what inspired the imagery and the symbolism on the cards
Well, the originally in tarot,
originally?
the history of tarot.
Yes.
So nobody really tarot has a little bit of a shrouded history. It actually was sort of born in 14th century Italy as a game tarocchi. And the tarocchi deck is still, they still play tarocchi. I've been in Italy and watched people play tarocchi in bars, and it's amazing. The cards are there.
Yeah.
And I've been to the Tarot Museum and they're all there 14th century cards. So we have that. That's the foundation of tarot. And then alongside that, we have the gypsies. And the gypsies were really fundamental in how the cards came to be used in terms of divination and sort of a more mystical sense. The gypsies actually they were called gypsies because originally people thought they came from Egypt, because gypsy is just a shortened version of Egyptian.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
gypsy. Um,
Mhm.
Obviously the term has become a bit misaligned now. We don't use it particularly, but that was the original thing. But they weren't Egyptian, they were Indians. So basically they were traveling sort of nomadic lower caste group from India who were much maligned and traveled out of India. They traveled through Egypt. This was over hundreds of years, right? And they carried with them a set of prayer cards that were the I think the soul expressions of Shiva. And the idea is that when you use these prayer cards, you connect with the divination, you connect with Shiva, you connect with all of the aspects of God. And this helps you connect in and to take that divination in yourself. So you are then, you have the divination, the divine within you. So these prayer cards connected you with that energy. What we think happened was as the gypsy, the sort of the Roma, as we now call them, as they came through Europe, they came through Eastern Europe, and they came into Italy with these cards, and they got mashed together with their tarocchi. And so it was the gypsies using tarocchi alongside their prayer cards and sort of bringing the whole thing together that started the use of tarot in what we term fortune telling and divination.
Mm-hmm.
And then in France, there was a guy called Attilia. He was the guy who first seriously studied how this works. What is this using these cards and what is actually going on? And he referred to tarot as the as a conversation with the Godhead. And so the Tarot Marseille, which is the forerunner of modern day tarot, that came from France. So it's come from Italy through France and then into Britain at the turn of the century, about 100 years ago. The Golden Dawn um, basically reworked the whole deck and formularized it into the version we see now. Because originally the suits didn't have pictures on them, like playing cards don't have pictures on them. They were
Mm-hmm.
just four suits. So it's had a journey across hundreds of years and has been reshaped and reformed along the way.
Let's see. I see. Amazing. And you could really talk about a lot. How do you ensure that your deck connects with the reader on a personal level? I know you did talk about that one woman, but how about yourself? Did you consider the most important skills? Did you have the skills for reading tarot, or did they uh, come along? Did you learn them?
Um, First of all, the deck doesn't connect to anyone. The deck itself
Mm,
is just a deck of
mm.
cards. The
Okay.
deck has a tarot deck has no intrinsically special powers. It is cardboard. Let's just get that clear.
Oh,
The
okay.
power,
Mhm.
the power is within us.
Yes.
The cards are a communication, are a language between us and the energetic world, and it is us connecting to the energetic world using the cards as a communication system. The cards themselves have no power.
Yes, you did say that. I just needed, I guess, to hear it again for it to sink in because when I was in high school, just trying to find a way to make myself more powerful, I pretended I could read palms, you know. And the first girl, I knew a lot about her, and I probably knew stuff about her she didn't know I knew. So it was a very successful reading because it was really just stuff I knew. And it drew a lot of people to me. But then one day I said, "Oh, I don't do it anymore," because I was a shyster. I was making it up. I was a charlatan, and I just said, "Oh, I don't do it anymore. I've run out of the interest," you know. So gypsies are have a terrible reputation because they were thieves and not the best character. Am I right?
Well, I mean, we have to be very careful with generalization because, to
Hmm.
be honest with you, any traveling people, the gypsies were absolutely persecuted right across Europe to the point
Hmm.
of almost genocide. And so, whenever they would come into a new area, people would treat them appallingly. And
Yeah,
so, what happens when you treat a group of people appallingly, they behave appallingly in
of
response.
course.
Yes.
Most
So
people.
therefore,
Hmm.
so therefore, we must be really careful that we don't generalize an entire group of people as being a certain way. Um, I think, gypsies, the gypsy history is one of enormous persecution and cruelty in many ways. And so I think a lot of the time, people do things to survive and
Yes. Well, I did.
develop a way of being,
Yeah,
which is perhaps, not
oh,
ideal and doesn't make them
absolutely.
popular, but they're not popular anyway. So I guess their thinking is, well, what the hell,
I
hang
get
for
it.
a sheep
I
as
get it.
for a
Yeah,
lamb.
yeah. Um, what do you consider like the most important skill for someone that is learning tarot?
Curiosity.
Oh, see, that's a good answer. Yeah, and you need that and an open mind, which
Yeah.
kind of goes hand in hand with curiosity because that's the type of person I am. So now you teach beginners and you also teach or help. experienced readers advance. So, how do you adapt those teachings for that two sets?
Um, well, when I teach beginners, I have a slightly different I have some differences in the way I present the deck to perhaps traditional teaching. So
Hmm.
in my deck, the major arcana tarot is split into sort of three sections. We have the major arcana, which are the big rock star cards, the lovers, death, the big
Yes,
ones that you'll see in James Bond movies. And you
yes.
have that section, that's 0 to 22. And then we have the minor arcana, which is the four suits, ace to 10. And on the end of those, like in a deck of playing cards, you have the royals. So you have a page, a knight, a queen, and a king in each suit. In my deck, the major arcana is also separated out into the suits. So they are advising specifically on the energy of the suits. And we see them in suit realms. And that isn't taught in traditional tarot. But
Gotcha.
what it does is it brings a whole new dimension to the way we see the role of the major arcana and what its function is.
What does
So
that mean? I don't know what major arcana.
yeah, so the major arcana is normally seen as a spiritual journey. Okay,
Ah, well, okay.
so the zero, the fool is zero. We can see the fool up here. I was keeping him on my
Ah,
wall.
yeah.
So the fool is zero because he is all potential. So he is everything and nothing all at the same time.
Hmm.
And then the idea is the Fool's Journey, which is the name of the traditional story through the 22 cards, means the Fool goes on this journey of learning and then gets to the World card, which is the last card, which is card 21. And that is his ascension. And then he becomes enlightened. I didn't like it. I've never liked it. I don't think it's right. There will be
Okay.
people out there who are now
You're
screaming,
being a
going,
rebel
"What
again.
the hell? I'm being a bit of a heretic here," but I don't
Uh,
like it. It
I say
doesn't work.
rebel. I just call
Yeah.
it rebel.
It doesn't work as far as the
Yeah.
spiritual journey is concerned. It just
Yeah.
doesn't work for me.
Got it.
I don't want to live a hard yards, repetitive spiritual journey where we just
Hmm.
do the same
Hmm.
thing over and over and over and over again until okay, so what we don't. It
Yes.
doesn't help us at
No.
all.
Well, we
There's
need things
no
to help us.
Yeah, there's no inviting message in there for us.
Gotcha. Now
So
I
instead
know.
of that, I teach it as an instruction manual for life. And when you look at it through that lens, it's perfect.
Okay.
Absolutely perfect.
I like that you did that. And in our spiritual community, a lot of our people, our congregation, whatever, well, we all do meditation. Meditation is just that you have to have meditation.
Sure.
Um, and it doesn't matter how you do it. Everybody does different. I will admit it is extremely hard for me to do just a quiet of mind meditation. I do guided meditation, but it works for me.
Oh,
And I
sure.
may do short little 5 minute silent meditations, but I'm too hyper of a person. And we also are very into chakras. What do you think of chakras?
Well, I mean, it's not what I think of them, is it? I mean, chakras are the energy system that runs through our body,
So you
and
believe it?
oh yeah, no, of
Everybody
course.
does it, Believe it
Yeah,
or
no,
not,
no,
everybody
I
does it.
feel no, I mean, tarot is built on the premise of elemental energy, and so
Right.
tarot is
So
all
it's
about
chakra. Right.
energy and how we
Right.
use energy. Now, tarot doesn't refer directly to the chakra system,
Right.
but for sure, one of my cards, which I'll show you, actually does. Hold on, if I can find the magician card, I will show you. It does actually show us being in alignment. Oh, strength. It's not the magician, it's the strength god. Hold on a second. The idea is that if we're going to become strong, if we're going to endure any discomfort, and sometimes we do have to
Yes.
be, we do have to be tough in life.
Mm.
We do it be in alignment with our purpose. We do it to be in alignment with our goals. There we go.
Gotcha.
So,
Oh,
so
that's
that's, yeah,
is
yeah.
this your book title or card? That's not your
No,
book.
no, this is a card. This is
Oh,
a
okay.
this is a
Do you have
tarot
your
card.
book cover?
The book
And
cover is, I don't have one in
it's
front of
okay.
me,
Don't worry.
but it's very similar to that. So
To
it
the
has
life
this
code.
energy spiral on it,
All right.
and
So
so
this book, The Life Code, A Foot and Magician, and The Secret of Life. Did I get the
yeah.
title? Um, what is the inspiration behind that book?
Well, the deck is the inspiration behind the book. This way I teach, this new way of looking at the major arcana, and the fact that it's talking about us mastering life and why that's so important.
Mm-hmm.
And how this whole system was the deck and the system was actually channeled after I went to a week's residential course at the Arthur Findlay College in Stansted, which is a bit like Hogwarts for mediums. So
Yeah.
um, so I
Yeah.
went there for a week, and I had a an energetic being. Um, Basically, I was on a trance mediumship course. So the idea of trance mediumship is that you're going to allow a spirit, maybe a departed loved one, to speak through you.
Mm-hmm.
And that did not. Uh, I have done it, but for me that wasn't why I was there.
Yeah.
And I didn't, and I said to the tutor, this is not really working for me. I'm not really feeling that this
Yeah.
is no, I don't want to.
I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
And so your readers, how can they deepen their connection to their own intuition?
By understanding the difference between intuition and fear, and becoming very familiar with how the intuitive voice sounds,
Yes.
because the intuitive voice has a very specific sound to it,
Yes.
which is markedly different to fear, and it can be very difficult to tell the difference unless you really know.
Yeah.
And so when you become familiar with intuition, the other thing, of course, is important is meditation, because in order for intuition to make itself heard, it does need a bit of quiet.
Yes.
It does need some space. So if there is a huge amount of noise going on
Yes.
in your head, it it is difficult for it to make itself heard, and it is a one-hit deal. You don't get, it doesn't repeat itself.
No, it just happens the situation comes up and you
Intuition
have
will
this
just
gut
speak,
feeling or
and
yeah,
if you
I
choose
get it.
not to engage, then
Right.
that's fine. That's your
Well,
choice.
Janet, we could talk about a lot of things for a long time, and I'll have to have you come back to talk about some of those things if you would like.
Sure.
Um, so to wrap this up, what's a surprising insight that you've gained from your years of reading tarot?
A surprising insight. Well, I mean, there are many of them. I guess in my own life,
Yes.
um, I'm trying to think of I'm trying to think of one that would be
Oh, just use your
that would
intuition.
that would be a standout.
Yes.
Um, I suppose it is all about how we need to be part of the process. So, what happens in tarot all the time, especially in my readings, is what will come back to the client is, what do you want? What do
Yes.
you want?
What
And
you
then
want?
what tarot will do is it will look at that, and it will give some sort of opinion. Tarot is opinionated for sure. It
Uh-huh.
has and it has some humor as well, although that might just be working through me. I don't know, but I find it to be
Possibly.
quite wry as a voice.
Yeah.
And so again, I had a lady come to me for a reading the other day and said, the universe has let me down. And what I said to it was, I'm not going to input anything. Just bring me the person, bring me the love, bring me the person. And she said, it's ended up really badly.
Yeah.
And what came back in the reading was you must have your will in the picture. You cannot just relinquish all responsibility for your life to the universe.
Hmm.
You are a co-creator
Yes,
here.
you're co-creator.
You have a job
Absolutely.
to do here, and your responsibility is to use your will
Hmm.
correctly in alignment with,
Yes.
the whatever it is we're
I
doing.
do. Exactly.
Yeah,
So Janice was very interesting for me, and I hope my listeners, I know they did find it interesting because it gave us basic concepts and understandings of tarot and made it more than just a parlor game or, something gypsies did for money. So, do you have a website?
I do. You can find me on Janice, which is spelt like Joplin, Janice King
Yes.
dot UK dot UK.
Oh, that's the same as your email almost.
Yeah, yeah, Janice
Yeah.
King dot UK.
I pay attention.
Mhm.
So, we will have you back again. It was very interesting. And so, in the book, of course, if anybody wants the book, The Life Code Afoot and Magician and the Secret of Life. That's a mouthful
You can find it on Amazon,
on
and
Amazon.
you can also buy it through my website as well. If you want to,
Okay,
if you're in
cool.
the States, it might be easier to buy it through Amazon,
I
but
think
it's
so.
whatever is the easiest way of doing it.
Well, this is great, and I might try to practice some of these things that we talked about, because they're very intriguing. But again, thank you for coming, and I hope you enjoyed our conversation as much as I did.
Yeah, absolutely, Mimi. It was lovely to meet you.
It's lovely to meet you. And if I'm ever where are you in the UK?
We spend a lot of time near the Brighton area or around London. I have an office in
London.
London in Putney. So, but we also travel around in we're pretty nomadic as well.
You're like a gypsy.
Great. So,
We'll end it there. Okay, everybody. I hope you enjoy this. I know I did, and I thank Janice for coming. And please check out her website. Thanks again,
perfect.
and I'll
Thank
see
you.
you later. Bye, Janice.
Thank you, Mimi. Bye bye.